adjudication, advancing tribal justice, crime prevention, protecting vulnerable populations, and capacity building. Within the CTAS solicitation, BJA manages 3 different purpose areas. Purpose Area 2, the Comprehensive Tribal Justice Systems Strategic Planning. Although this purpose area is managed by BJA, it is funded and coordinated across all 5 of the participating agencies within CTAS. So BJA, the Office of Juvenile Justice and Delinquency Prevention, the Office for Victims of Crime, the Community-Oriented Policing Services Office, and the Office on Violence Against Women all co-fund this purpose area and work together on programmatic aspects of it. Purpose Area 3 is BJA's Tribal Justice Systems, and Purpose Area 4 is the Tribal Justice System Infrastructure Program. I'm going to start with information about Purpose Area 2, the Comprehensive Tribal Justice System Strategic Planning Initiative. This is designed to engage in comprehensive justice system-wide strategic planning to improve tribal justice, community wellness, and public safety. And this is a system-wide approach that looks at all of the different aspects of the tribe's justice system and assists you in bringing all of the key players together to the table to come up with an overall plan for your entire community. The funding uses include personnel to manage the project, and that is typically going to be a 3/4 time or a full-time project manager. General office equipment to further the project itself, and travel to BJA-sponsored training events. This purpose area involves very extensive targeted training and technical assistance, including a 3-stage process that takes place on-site. TTA providers will come out to work with the key players in your community in order to go through an established planning process and data collection process to assist you in creating a plan that best meets your specific needs. And then upon submission of an approved Purpose Area 2 Justice System-wide Strategic Plan, tribes will be eligible for priority consideration on their CTAS application in one subsequent fiscal year in order to begin to implement the plan. Purpose Area 3, the Tribal Justice Systems Purpose Area, this grew out of what had in earlier years been 2 separate funding streams, the Tribal Court Assistance Program and the Indian Alcohol and Substance Abuse Program. In response to consultations with tribal leaders and input from tribal justice practitioners, BJA worked to broaden this purpose area so that it can now be used for a very wide array of different justice programs rather than just those 2 more narrow areas of focus. And so this funding can be used to prevent and reduce alcohol and substance abuse related crimes, to enhance tribal justice systems, including prevention programming, treatment programs, tribal courts, healing to wellness courts, diversion programs, probation, alternative dispute resolution methods, reentry services, really, you name it. If it's a justice program, it can probably fit within this purpose area. Programs that focus on a wide range of criminal justice needs, including tribal courts, alcohol and substance abuse programming, probation, jails, reentry, intergovernmental collaboration to address public safety, and community-based supervision and diversion. Funding uses, again, may include personnel to manage the project, equipment to enhance tribal justice systems, general office equipment, It can include software programs for court management programs, as well as training and travel to BJA-sponsored training events, and to a limited degree, if BJA does not offer a particular area of training, to other training as needed.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Julius Dupree. I'm with BJA as well. My colleague Trish Thaxton, who you just heard from, she oversees Purpose Areas 2 and 3, and actually I oversee Purpose Area 4, which is the Tribal Justice Systems Infrastructure Program. So what some people don't realize is that both of these purpose areas are complementary in some ways. For instance, if you apply for Purpose Area 3 for programming around substance abuse or maybe healing and wellness programs or any type of treatment programming, then what you may want to consider is if you don't have any space to do that, you can look maybe to Purpose Area 4 to maybe renovate an existing building that you may have, or expand an existing facility to include programming space to accommodate some of these resources, or some of the services that Trish talked about in her presentation. So Purpose Area 4, basically it really provides tribes with a mechanism to be able to either to build on their physical infrastructure by either expanding, renovating, or what we've added new this year, erecting prefabricated or permanent modular buildings to serve as a justice facility. When I say justice facilities, what we define that could be correctional facilities, that could be a multi-purpose justice center to include police departments and courts and corrections. It could also be a treatment center to provide treatment. Or you could use it for maybe you want to renovate a facility to serve as a transitional living facility or a halfway house. But what we really try to do with Purpose Area 4 is we wanted to make it as broad as possible to be able to accommodate as many different types of justice-related structures, if you will, that we could, within the legislative parameters. And so you're seeing, I guess, an evolution of the program, because when we initially started out, it was really limited to detention, but now we've been able to accommodate other types of facilities. So some of the other costs that you use our funding for outside of renovating actual a building, maybe part of your project is site preparation. Maybe such for sewage and water lines, and other things that may go along with site preparation. Also, staff housing. What we find sometimes is that some tribes are remotely located, and so it's hard to recruit staff to work in various facilities or certain facilities. So what you could do with our funding is you could actually use funding to renovate structures or expand or prefabricate some sort of modular housing, if you will, to serve for staff housing. Actually furniture, fixtures, and equipment is also allowed under this program, so you keep that in mind as well. The one thing I want to definitely highlight is that for whatever project that you're going to pursue, there needs to be a criminal justice nexus. So for instance, you can't use our funds to renovate to a bowling alley or something like that. It has to be there has to be some sort of justice nexus. And when I say that either whoever is going to be served by this particular program, or who's going to be housed in the facility that you're trying to renovate, there needs to be some sort of criminal justice nexus, whether it was whether they came in contact with the legal system and they were referred through the legal system, through the courts, or reentering into society from a justice institution. But there has to be individuals have to have some sort of involvement with the criminal justice system. There's some new requirements this year, and I'd like to highlight. One of the requirements is that we really have gotten tighter on our requirements around planning, because what we really want to ensure is that, when the grants that we award, that there's been a significant amount of planning to determine what the needs are for the tribe as far as infrastructure. So any documentation that you have that can basically demonstrate to us that you have done a significant amount of planning to determine what your needs are, please make sure that that's included as part of the application. Again, that's a new requirement this year. Generally, we basically indicated that applicants just need to demonstrate planning. So that could have been something where you could have said something in the project narrative about the fact that you did planning, and that would have been sufficient. But now we're looking for any documents. So like if you've done if you went through like a pony process, or planning a new institution training, or if you went through any other type of process and work with a team of individuals to determine what your needs are, then we want to see that documentation associated with that. Another new requirement, and I alluded to it in the slide, the previous slide, is that we're now providing funding for permanent modular or prefab facilities. What I really want to underscore is that we do not allow for temporary modular facilities, and when I say temporary, those, for some of you that may not be familiar with permanent versus temporary, temporary may be like what the Federal Emergency Management Agency uses after a natural disaster, like trailers, but those are not considered permanent types of modular facilities. So that's something that I wanted to highlight for the new requirements. As far as eligibility for our programs, each office has eligibility requirements, but as far as BJA is concerned, as long as you're a federally recognized tribe, as determined by the Secretary of Interior, you're eligible for our funds. There are no provisions that will preclude you from applying for funding if you have received funding in the past. But I would like to note and emphasize that as part of our review process and our internal review process, we will look to see if you have outstanding balances on other grants or other awards, or if there's a potential for duplication. These are all things that we're going to look for. Even if your application makes it through the peer review process, these are things we're going to look for when we do our internal review. So please be cognizant of that. Grant writing resources. On our Tribal Justice and Safety webpage, if you go to, it's actually the email address, the website would be www.usdoj.gov/tribal, and then you would click on the grants link, and then once you would click on the grants, then you would get our online grant writing tool, basically. So what that is it's a tool that really walks you through, it's really a aid, if you will, to help folks facilitate the CTAS process. So it goes, there's different modules as part of this training tool. So I encourage you, if you're new to the grant process, or if you're new to DOJ, the Department of Justice grant process, then it would be worth your while to explore that tool. Another grant writing resource that is available is actually on our main Office of Justice Programs website. There's actually it's called Grants 101. So if you were to go to www.ojp.gov/funding, you would find our Grants 101 tool as well. So there's two different tools that you can access from your desktop that can potentially help you with applying for a Department of Justice related grant. So I do encourage you to explore those tools as well. Again, Trish Saxton, her information is listed here. She is our point person for purpose areas 2 and 3. My information is here as well. So if you have any questions or you need or any programmatic related questions, please feel free to contact us. If for some reason you forget or you lose our information, you can always call the response center. The response center information is located in the application, and the response center could tell you, give you the information for myself, for Trish, as well as the other participating agencies such as Office of Juvenile Justice Delinquency Prevention, OVC, COPS, and OVW. And so hopefully that'll help you through the process as well. So we really wanted to, we did go through this fairly quickly, but we wanted to really provide more time for questions because we do realize that most of you on the call are probably really wanting to ask us some questions that you may need to have answered in order to proceed with your application. And so at this time, we'd like to go ahead and open it up for questions. Okay.
Hi everyone, this is Gander Level from the TTA Center. If you can please type your question into the question and answer pod, I will read out the questions and we'll have the speakers answer. The first one is, when will purpose area specific fact sheets for CTAS fiscal year 2018 coming soon be available?
Those are in the final review process, and we're hoping that they will be out within the week. I don't have an exact date yet, but it should be very soon.
So yeah, so Trish would encourage you to check back probably the next few days or so on that next week. So.
Okay, next question. For purpose area 4, do we have to submit architectural plans for multi-purpose justice renovations?
No, you don't have to submit architectural plans, but you do have to submit any planning documentation that you may have done to determine that there is a need for your project. But obviously, architectural plans would be something that would come after if you receive our funding. Then I'm sure that you would be pursuing that at that time.
Okay, does purpose area 4 allow for the purchase of an existing building?
Yes.
And will purpose area 4 allow renovation of a leased building?
Yes.
For purpose area 3, can we seek funding for mental health services as a preventive tool for substance abuse?
Yes, as long as it's connected to preventing substance abuse-related crime. You need to make a nexus to the justice system in some way, but yes, definitely.
Okay. Will there be a link to the Q&A section of this webinar?
There will be a recording of this webinar sent out in a thank you email to everyone who registered or who participated on today's webinar. And then in roughly about a week, the link to that recorded webinar will be posted at the usdoj.gov/tribal/webinars link.
With regard to purpose area 4, would qualifications be applicable for this area if new construction is currently active with completion in December 2018?
So I'm sorry, I'm just reading the question here just to make sure that I'm clear on that. Yeah. So I think what I'd want to do is maybe have maybe talk with this caller on an individual basis. So if she could give me a call, that would be helpful. My phone number information is actually located on the and the PowerPoint.
Okay, next question. Our project team used another facilities planning tool different from the two identified in the NOFA. What's the best way to share that tool with reviewers?
Purpose area 4. Well, I guess I'm trying to figure out is this particular planning tool. It's really, I guess I'm not clear on this question. Is it a planning tool around the grant writing, or is it a planning tool around the facility renovation? I'm not sure. I need more clarification on that question.
Don, if you can type in more clarification, we'll get to it. Thank you. Next question, when will award be made / announced?
We will make awards before the end of our fiscal year, which would be before the end of September 30th, or before the, September 30th of 2018. Hopefully a lot sooner than that, but we just put that out there because we don't know, we never know for sure, but we know that we have to obligate funds by the end of the fiscal year.
Okay, purpose area 4. We have a transitional living center and there is a need as we need to expand. What kind of documentation would be suitable?
Well, basically, there would be, I think if you have documentation that can demonstrate the need for the expansion, so whether it's the number of clients that are being released from a facility but just demonstrate why there's a need for an expansion. So whatever documentation you can provide to demonstrate that there's that need because of maybe the number of people exiting facilities, for example, then we would want you to provide that level of documentation.
Can purpose area 3 be used for code revision for either hiring or contracting in relations to truancy, juvenile delinquency, potential wellness court, etc.?
Purpose area 3 can be used for code revision. Truancy is generally not going to fall within BJA's mission, which is a primary focus on the adult justice system. If you're looking at programming that addresses both juveniles and young adults within the same program, for example, you're working with your 13 to 25-year-old population in the programming that you're looking to do, then BJA definitely can fund that. We tend not to fund programs that are exclusively juvenile focused, though, since OJP does have the Office of Juvenile Justice and Delinquency Prevention, which focuses on the juvenile side of the system.
As far as the internal review process, if the tribe currently has a CTAS award, Purpose Area 6, that is at standstill due to turnover with the director, will this be considered if we apply for a grant in Purpose Area 3?
Generally, it's not going to impact the purpose areas other than the one that that you're having the challenges in. You want to be sure that you're working with your program manager in Purpose Area 6 and staying in contact to make sure that everything is still in compliance even as you're addressing staff turnover. The only time another purpose area would have an impact beyond that purpose area is if there are very significant performance problems on a long-term basis that then might be considered. But for the most part, it's going to be what's going on with any BJA awards that you may have.
How do we print out the budget in the Excel sheet? The online form does not allow us to print easily.
I think we're probably going to need to speak with our technology support team and try to get back to you on that. I don't. Response, oh yeah, that's a good idea. Or you can try first reaching out to the response center. That phone number is in the solicitation, and if they aren't able to help you directly, they should be able to direct you to someone who can.
If we have not completed PONI training, what other types of documentation is recommended? Where can we find PONI training? P-O-N-I.
I'm sorry. Well, the PONI was actually, that's the National Institute of Corrections. I know that in the past that they used to hold those planning sessions, but I'm not sure if they're still offering those this year or not. But basically, it doesn't have to be BJA planning. It doesn't have to be a BJA planning grant, or it doesn't have to be that you went through some other federally recognized planning process. Basically, we just want you to, even if you did your own and planning within your jurisdiction. I mean, or you may have worked with a consultant to do planning. Then that would be sufficient. We're not that prescriptive as far as what type of planning that you've done. We just wanted to see that you've done some type of planning.
Okay. We are live-in renovating substance abuse building, and do you have the approved the plans for renovation from the engineer? It is a design/build project.
Sorry, Helen, can you hear me? Okay.
Yes.
Okay. All right. I'm sorry. There's just something that just popped up here. Could you please repeat that question? I'm sorry.
We are a live-in renovating substance abuse building, and do you have approved the plans for renovation from the engineer? It is a design/build project. And then also he has, let me clarify my question, do we have to have approval plans approved for a transitional living center? It is a design-build project.
Right. So it's we asked that. So as far as the planning process is concerned, there's a couple of different planning we're talking about here. So we want you to demonstrate the planning as part of your application, basically that you've done planning to determine that there was a need. Now, once you get into the process of doing the actual planning around the renovation, we're going to actually have training and technical assistance providers that are going to be working with each site. So what's going to happen is if you're selected for funding, we're going to have a training and technical assistance provider that's going to go out to visit your facility early on, and then they're going to look at your plans. And so yes, to answer your question, we're going to have our training and technical assistance provider look at your plans and provide us with feedback as to whether or not the plans are cost effective and that they're feasible. And so to that extent, yeah, we're going to have to ultimately approve that the plan before you move forward with your project.
Can we apply for Purpose Area 2 again with a different focus? We were a 2014 awardee. We have an approved TJSP, and we'd like to emphasize multidisciplinary training offerings to strengthen our tribal justice system's response.
No, unfortunately, Purpose Area 2 is the only CTAS purpose area that you can only apply for once. And also, a change since you originally applied in 2014 is that it cannot focus on a specific area. The Purpose Area 2 plans are specifically designed to be justice system-wide, so you're looking at how the entire justice system is functioning as a whole.
Would an emergency operation plan for community qualify for Purpose Area 2 within STRAT plan?
Can you repeat the question?
Would an emergency operation plan for community qualify for Purpose Area 2 within STRAT plan?
Strategic plan, I think. No. Again, the Purpose Area 2 planning is a justice system-wide plan that brings together key players from all of the different tribal justice agencies, or all the tribal agencies that touch the justice system and touch justice-involved individuals within your community, and brings them together to look at the overall needs of the community, does a formal needs assessment, and using that data works as a team to create a plan for improved functioning of the entire justice system overall in order to meet the unique needs of the community.
Can we propose the purchase of prefabricated homes and related infrastructure for detention officers at our justice facility under Purpose Area 4?
Yes.
If a tribe applies for both Purpose Area 3 and Purpose Area 4, do the proposed facilities need to address the Purpose Area 3 activities specifically?
They have to coordinate.
No.
They can be coordinated if the tribe chooses, but they do not have to be.
For Purpose Area 4, what type of certification to prove a building that is to be renovated is structurally sound?
Well, I mean, it could be a building inspector, it could be an architect, it could be. So we don't have any particular requirement around who needs to do that. We just need to see that documentation that's been done. And now, if you're unable to do that, we're going to have our training and technical assistance provider that would actually go out there and do that if you all receive funding as well. So that's something to keep in mind.
Our court just had an assessment done, and they recommended seeking Purpose Area 2 funding for the purpose of expanding, relocating, or constructing a larger and more functional tribal court space. Would that be the most appropriate, or should we apply directly for Purpose Area 4 funds?
Yes, that would be a Purpose Area 4 request.
For Area 3, can alternative courts include drug courts? I see wellness courts listed.
Yes, absolutely. Drug courts are also allowable within that purpose area.
Purpose Area 4, we use rigorous planning tools for both public safety / law enforcement and courtroom facilities. And I think that goes back up to our project team used another facilities planning tool different from the two identified.
Yes, and that's fine. That's acceptable.
Can Purpose Area 3 be used to retrofit a storage room into a kitchenette/attorney-client conference room at our courthouse?
Yes, that should be doable as long as it's not construction. If you're actually needing to do any construction, then that would be Purpose Area 4.
Renovation. And
renovation.
That's right. No, but just to be clear for folks, new construction is not allowable under Purpose Area 4, but what I would like to say is that I'm looking at a previous question, and I think that it was a little unclear at first, but I think what was being asked is whether or not our funds can be used, or Purpose Area funds can be used to complete a facility that's actually going through a new construction process. The answer to that question is if there's construction that's already underway and you are looking for our funding to either complete that or add one to something, then that is something that we would consider as acceptable category, but we would not allow for any new construction from the ground up. So basically, you couldn't apply for our funding to do a new construction project where you have to lay the foundation and you have to do all the prep work and that sort of thing. So hopefully that clarifies that last question.
Would be able to make a cultural center/longhouse under Purpose Area 4. We would use this for a cultural component in the court system.
The answer to that is yes, and actually it sounds like that would be maybe considered more of a I don't know, the cultural component. Again, there just needs to be like whether that's for mentoring or counseling or whatever the case is, that would just need to be clarified in the application, because we just want to ensure that it is a justice-related type of project.
What type of certification is needed?
I think that was what I mentioned before. Again, we're not we don't have like specific requirements around that. We just need to see documentation that there has been an inspection of your facility that to determine that it is structurally sound. So, but there's not any type of we're not prescribing any specific type of certification that you need for that.
Is CTAS funding contingent on congressional budget approval?
Yes.
For Purpose Area 4, are there specs or guidelines for what is considered prefabricated or permanent modular buildings?
Well, they're not in the solicitation actually, but what I would suggest as that I know there's a lot of information online about if you were to put in information about prefabricated or permanent modular buildings, then you would find a lot of information about that, and you would probably have to contact someone who is familiar with those types of structures. But as far as our solicitation is concerned, we don't have any specific guidelines on what is considered that. Again, it's a term of art actually in the construction business. So if you ask any architect about permanent modular or permanent or prefabricated facilities, they can let you know, and then verse with what the difference is between that and what's considered temporary modular facilities, which we would not fund.
We are needing to raise our existing transitional facility. Would we be able to use Purpose Area 4 to replace this building using modular or prefabricated construction?
Yes.
Would the addition of a multi-purpose justice center to an existing correction center be allowable under Purpose Area 4?
Yes.
Okay. Looks like we have about 10 more minutes left on the call. If you have additional questions, go ahead and type them in now. And at the bottom, the presenter contact information, I have that up in the chat. Julius Dupree, julius.dupree@ojp.usdoj.gov, phone number 202-514-1928, and Trish Thaxton, her phone number is 202-307-0581. Also, for general questions, you can contact the DOJ Response Center at tribalgrants@usdoj.gov or toll free at 1-800-421-6770. And as a reminder, we have presentations for download. If you click on the presentation, you can either upload or download the file. All right, another question. Is there a grant ceiling or maximum award to ask for in Purpose Area 3 or 4, and what is the average grant size in each purpose area?
For Purpose Area 3, it's up to $750,000 for a 3-year grant period, and we really, each year end up making awards that range between as little as $50,000 up to the $750,000. It really is just a matter of making sure that the amount that you are requesting is clearly justified in the budget and budget narrative that you create.
And for Purpose Area 4, our suggested amounts for that is $1 million for single jurisdiction projects and up to $4 million for regional projects. But there's usually most of our projects are funded are usually between around $1 million for the most part. But those are the suggested amounts. There have been instances when we may have funded something a little, in excess of that, but it's very rare that we do that. But what I would like for folks to consider is that we do have limited funding under these categories, and so I would encourage you to be judicious in your request and just consider the fact that if your project is really outside of that range, then it may not get the same level of consideration as projects that are within that funding range.
Would prioritizing our Healing to Wellness team, Health Council, and Youth Coalition initiatives to enhance TJS qualify for Purpose Area 2?
No, again, Purpose Area 2 really is across looking at your full justice system. So looking at your tribal courts, any Healing to Wellness or other specialty courts you may have, your law enforcement services, juvenile services, victim services, services for Indian women and girls, really looking at the whole system, treatment services. Sometimes the counseling department may be involved because they're working with justice-involved individuals. So really looking at the big picture of all of the different agencies within the tribe that have a role in the optimal functioning of the tribal justice system.
Is that $750,000 per year or for the total 3 years?
For the total 3 years.
Under Purpose Area, can we also propose purchasing prefabricated housing for our police officers?
The answer to that question is yes. Again, just make it clear in your application the need for that, like if it's remoteness or whatever the issue is as far as why that type of housing is needed. That would go a long way.
Does Purpose Area 3 have to be submitted by a tribal court in order to establish a Healing to Wellness court? or can the police department apply for this?
Any department within the tribe, as long as the tribe has authorized the submission of the CTAS application, is acceptable. The requirement for all of the BJA purpose areas actually is that it is being submitted by a federally recognized tribal government, a unit of government. Something to be very aware of, though, is if you're applying for multiple purpose areas, you're still only allowed a single application. So there needs to be an agency within the tribe that is, probably coordinating. You want to make sure that all of those different purpose areas go into a single application so they can all be considered.
Would Purpose Area 4 be able to provide funding for a modular or prefab facility for staff to monitor a transitional living center as well as expand on traditional living center?
Yes. The answer to that is yes.
Okay, it is 12:55. We have 5 more minutes to go. If you have additional questions, please include them now in the question and answer pod. And also, as a reminder, we have the webinar survey on the left bottom side of your screen. If you click on that link, and it will automatically populate and hit Browse To. If you can please fill that out at the end of the webinar and let us know how we did today and what we need to improve on. We do appreciate it, and we take your answers seriously.
Looks like we got one more question in.
Yes. Would Purpose Area 3 be applicable to the staffing of a prosecuting attorney?
Yes.
We have a couple more minutes for additional questions. Another question came in. Attorney would have to serve both adults and juveniles in Purpose Area 3.
They don't have to serve both adults and juveniles, but they could.
Okie dokie. And there's a question that came in the chat. If we are currently engaged in a Purpose Area 2 grant, could we apply for Purpose Area 3 to update our tribal code?
Yes.
Another question, can you talk about possible connections with Purpose Area 4 and Purpose Area 8?
Sure. So again, kind of similar to what I talked about earlier with the connection between Purpose Area 4 and Purpose Area 3. So if there's some sort of juvenile program that you want to implement and you don't have space for that, then you may want to look to Purpose Area 4 funding to be able to either maybe renovate an existing facility or somehow expand another existing facility to basically provide programming where you might have received programming under Purpose Area 8. Now, one thing I'd like to emphasize is that when we talk about the internal review process, so all the offices that participate in CTAS, we all get together and we review we talk about all these proposals as well. So if you did apply, let's say you applied for Purpose Area 8 and for some reason you're going to be receiving Purpose Area 8 funding, then if you had a Purpose Area 4 application, I would be notified of that. So we wouldn't want to fund the Purpose Area 4 application if you're not going to get the programming services and vice versa. And so we do that level of coordination here. So you can, rest assured that we're all looking at this from a department-wide perspective, just so you're aware of that.
Okay, thank you, everyone. It is 1 o'clock. Please remember to go to the webinar survey link. We will leave the room up for an additional 10 more minutes, so it'll give you time to download this presentation and also to fill out our survey. Again, if you have any questions, contact the DOJ Response Center, tribal grants at usdoj.gov, 1-800-421-6770. Thank you and have a great day.